People don't crave what you hand them. They crave what you almost offer, but never fully give. Desire doesn't grow from fulfillment. It grows from tension, from the silent pull of something they can sense, but never completely hold. When you satisfy too quickly, you kill the chase. You close the emotional loop. But when you create glimpses, small, fleeting, incomplete, you ignite something deeper. You trigger anticipation. You awaken emotional gravity. You set their mind spinning toward a craving they can't explain and can't control. True power isn't in giving more. It's in giving just enough to build an addiction inside their own mind. This is desire engineering -- the art of constructing emotional need without losing control, without giving everything away. In this video, you'll learn how to trigger deep craving strategically, how to build emotional tension without surrendering anything, and how to become the center of need without ever appearing to chase, because the most powerful addiction isn't built on satisfaction. It's built on silent, unfinished hunger. Part 1. Why desire grows stronger when nothing is fully given. Fulfillment ends pursuit. Satisfaction kills craving. When you give completely, you close the loop. You end the emotional current. You let the energy collapse. But when you leave things unfinished, when you offer a glimpse, a taste, a spark dash, and pull back before it's complete, you create emotional tension. And tension fuels desire. The mind can walk away from what it fully understands. It can't walk away from what feels almost within reach, but not quite. The closer they feel to grasping you without ever fully getting there, the stronger the emotional grip becomes. Desire isn't about possession, it's about pursuit. The act of reaching, of leaning in, of craving more, because enough was never given. This is the architecture of emotional gravity, not overwhelming people with abundance, but starving them, strategically, skillfully, relentlessly. You don't need to build walls, you don't need to fight, you simply offer less than they crave, and let their own mind pull them deeper into the loop you engineered. Because what the mind almost has, but can't quite hold, becomes infinitely more valuable than anything freely given. Part 2. The psychology behind desire. Engineering. Desire isn't random, it's engineered. It's the product of precise psychological mechanics, activated by what's withheld, not what's given. At the center of this dynamic is the incomplete fulfillment effect. The mind attaches more deeply to what it almost secures but doesn't fully capture. When the emotional loop remains open, the mind keeps spinning, searching for resolution. That never comes. The craving doesn't fade. It intensifies. Then comes the anticipation loop. Anticipation triggers stronger dopamine responses than actual reward. Waiting, hoping, reaching. These emotional micro-movements produce more emotional energy than receiving. When you hold back just enough, you don't starve them completely. You feed anticipation, you build emotional charge, and every moment they anticipate deepens the addiction. Layered into this is the scarcity amplifier. The less certain your emotional availability feels, the more their mind elevates its value. Scarcity bends perception. It warps rational thinking. It makes what's rare Feel irreplaceable. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be less available, less complete, less attainable. Desire isn't about overflowing their cup. It's about keeping it just empty enough for them to keep reaching, again and again. And when you engineer these forces correctly, you don't chase attention. You build a silent empire of emotional gravity that no one can escape. Part 3. 5 techniques to engineer. Desire without giving anything. Desire engineering is about subtle construction. You don't force craving. You don't beg for attention. You build the architecture, then let their own mind trap itself inside it. Here are 5 techniques to create deep emotional need without giving anything fully away. Technique 1. Offer glimpses, not guarantees. You show hints of connection. You spark brief moments of resonance, but you never hand over full emotional certainty. You give them windows, not doors. And the mind, starved for completion, keeps chasing the view. You never fully open. Technique 2. Engage emotional resonance, then pause. You don't block emotional connection. You initiate it, but you pause before it deepens. You let the emotional frequency rise. Then you step back, just before full immersion. Impact. You amplify craving by freezing the moment mid-resonance. Technique 3. Seed curiosity without fully answering it. You plant emotional questions. You hint at deeper layers. You spark wonder. But you never fully explain. You never complete the story. Example. There's a reason I rarely open up. But that's a story for another time. No elaboration. No closure. Just lingering tension. Curiosity fuels emotional pursuit, faster than clarity ever could. Technique 4. Reflect their emotions without solving them. You recognize their emotions, you mirror their depth. Sounds like there's a lot you carry inside. Silence. But you don't fix it. You don't rush to comfort. You don't complete the loop. You acknowledge the storm, then you let them stand in it alone. Impact. They associate emotional intensity with your presence, but they never feel fully stabilized, and craving grows in that imbalance. Technique 5. Use tension and timing to stretch the craving. You don't rush moments. You don't always respond immediately. You let tension breathe. You let silence stretch. You control timing, like a sculptor controls clay. You decide when to lean in, when to pull back, when to freeze the emotional current mid-flow, and every deliberate pause multiplies the craving because the emotional system doesn't seek satisfaction, it seeks resolution, and you never fully give it. Master these techniques and you'll create emotional desire so deep, so destabilizing, they won't even realize they're chasing something you never truly offered. Part 4. Common mistakes that break the desire loop. Desire is fragile. It's powerful when built right, but collapses instantly when mishandled. Here are the critical mistakes that shatter the craving loop before it fully forms. Mistake 1. Giving too much too soon. The moment you over-deliver, you collapse the craving. Fulfillment kills tension. Abundance kills anticipation. You don't need to overflow them with connection. You need to keep them slightly thirsty, always leaning forward, never leaning back. Mistake 2. Over-explaining emotional triggers. When you reveal too much, you end the mystery When you answer every question, you kill the emotional tension. You want them to feel, there's more to this. Not, now I understand everything. Curiosity craves. Clarity closes. Mistake 3. Acting like you're creating desire. If they sense you're trying to manipulate their emotions, the spell breaks. Desire must feel organic, not orchestrated. It must feel like something. They discovered, not something. You pushed. The more natural the tension feels, the deeper it pulls. Mistake 4. Becoming emotionally reactive. When you start chasing validation, when you start craving their response, you invert the gravity. You leak neediness. You shatter your frame. Desire engineering only works when your energy stays sovereign. You aren't hoping for attention, you're offering tension and letting them do the reaching. Mistake 5. Closing the loop too early. When you fully satisfy the emotional momentum, you end the pursuit. No chase, no anticipation, no emotional gravity. You don't close the story, you stretch it. You leave the door half open. You leave the question unanswered. You let their own mind finish the script you never completed, and that unfinished energy keeps them spinning in your orbit without ever realizing it. Avoid these mistakes, and your emotional gravity becomes unstoppable. You won't need louder words. You won't need bigger actions. You'll just need better architecture. Part 5. Real examples. How to trigger emotional need without giving anything. Theory gives you understanding. Application forges gravity. Let's break down real-world moves where you trigger deep emotional need without ever fully giving anything away. Example 1. The half-shared vulnerability. You share a glimpse of something personal, a crack in the armor, a rare emotional moment, but you never unpack it fully. You stop halfway. There's a lot I've learned the hard way, but that's another story. You leave the story suspended, unfinished, unresolved. Impact. You trigger emotional investment without surrendering your full emotional weight. They crave more, they chase deeper access, but you control the gate. Example 2. The delayed emotional payoff. You initiate an emotionally charged moment. You create resonance. But just when the emotional wave peaks, you pull back. You redirect. You shift the conversation. You leave the tension hanging. Impact. You leave them emotionally suspended, searching for the completion that never arrives. And the mind keeps replaying the unfinished song. Example 3. The curiosity seed. You drop a provocative statement, a hint, a mystery. Most people see the surface. Very few ever see beyond it. You don't explain. You don't elaborate. You move on. Impact. The mind latches onto the gap. The mind leans into the mystery. Curiosity multiplies craving. Every unanswered hint deepens emotional entanglement. Example 4. The emotional reflection without resolution. They share something vulnerable. You reflect it, acknowledge it, mirror it. It sounds like you've carried that weight longer than anyone realizes. Pause. Silence. You don't comfort. You don't fix. You let the emotional current stay open. Impact. They associate emotional depth with your presence. But they never feel fully soothed. Craving grows inside the void. Each of these moves engineers emotional tension without flooding, without explaining. Without giving everything away, you create hunger, you build anticipation, you stretch curiosity. And in that stretch, desire multiplies, not by pushing, not by pleasing, but by vanishing, right before satisfaction can ever be reached. Final CTA. You don't create emotional need. By overwhelming people, you don't create addiction. By flooding them with attention, you create it. By leaving gaps, by leaving tension, by leaving unfinished currents. Inside their mind, desire grows strongest. In absence, in uncertainty, in the quiet, strategic withholding of full satisfaction. You don't chase their craving. You architect it, piece by piece, pause by pause, tension by tension. And once you master this, you stop reacting to emotional gravity. You start generating it. They lean in harder. They reach deeper. They crave more. Not because you gave them everything, but because you gave them just enough to never feel complete. True power isn't in what you say. It's in what you don't say. True gravity isn't in what you give. It's in what you hold back. Strategically, relentlessly, deliberately. Smooth transition. In the next video, we sharpen this strategy even further. Because once you can create emotional need, the next level is learning how to make every word you say carry the weight of scarcity itself. It's called scarcity messaging. Why rare words hit harder. Because when your words become rare, they become unforgettable. And when your words become unforgettable, you control the emotional frame without even raising your voice.